Trevor Heitmann, more commonly known as McSkillet, was an incredibly successful YouTuber, especially given his age. By just 18 years old, he had amassed hundreds of thousands of subscribers and an incalculable amount of money. He was instrumental in bringing a new audience to CSGO, a competitive FPS game with a huge real money skins economy. McSkillet's main focus, and presumably income too, came from talking about these skins. Whether it was trading them, investing, or even gambling and opening cases, McSkillet was deeply into skins, and he had a great understanding of both the CSGO economy and YouTube, which led him to see huge success. He uploaded his first video on the 21st of April 2015, which turned out to be perfect timing. I myself got into CSGO around this time as well. This was when CSGO content, especially case opening videos, were everywhere. A load of the Call of Duty YouTubers began opening cases, and naturally a lot of this audience moved over to CSGO with it. McSkillet was there to capitalize off this massive uptick in the internet's newfound fascination with this world, and capitalize he did. Now, on top of just the ad revenue from his YouTube videos, CSGO YouTubers had a different opportunity on top of that, which was gambling sponsorships. CSGO gambling was huge at the time before the game's developers cracked down on it. Regardless, before that scandal kicked off, McSkillet had earned an almost unbelievable amount from sponsorships from CSGO trading and gambling sites. At bare minimum, he was getting tens of thousands of dollars per video thanks to these sponsors. Finally, in 2017, he wanted the lion's share of the profit and started multiple sites related to this of his own, which no doubt made him even more. Unfortunately for McSkillet, his main income source would be directly attacked in a big way shortly after, in a turn of events he probably never saw coming. As I mentioned earlier, Valve, the game's developers, started a crusade against a lot of the third-party sites just like this, and it wasn't just the sites, it was also the people's inventories. McSkillet got over $100,000 worth of skins banned overnight, resulting from his involvement in gambling sites. This rendered his skins worthless, since he wouldn't ever be able to sell them for real money. Imagine how that would feel, $100,000 lost and your main source of income crippled in one fell swoop. Whilst all this was happening, there was also a pretty hefty crash in the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Not a lot is known about Trevor's exact finances, but it was very standard for CSGO YouTubers to have money in crypto, since it was one of the most convenient ways of buying and selling skins. This has led many to come to the conclusion that on top of the massive losses he had sustained from CSGO, he may also have lost a load of his remaining money to the late 2017 crypto crash. To put a long story short, McSkillet went from being on top of the world at just 18 years old to losing an unbelievable amount of money as well as most of his sources of income in a very short time frame. His YouTube upload schedule began to slow and his sites closed down. Before long, he'd almost completely disappeared from the internet, even stating in his Twitter that he had retired from being a CSGO YouTuber. Reportedly, his mental health declined. From there, many months passed before we next heard about McSkillet. In August of 2018, Trevor decided to go out for a drive in his black McLaren 650S. He drove south down the Interstate 805 north of San Diego, reaching speeds of well over 100 miles an hour. This is reckless in the best of circumstances, especially with Californian traffic, but the speed wasn't the worst part. He was deliberately driving down the wrong side of the motorway. At 4:30 p.m, disaster struck. The McLaren ploughed head-on into an oncoming Hyundai SUV. Trevor, as well as a 43-year-old mother and her 12-year-old daughter in the other car, all lost their lives upon impact. The wreckage turned into a fiery explosion and began what turned into a large pile-up. 8 more cars crashed, unable to react to the huge collision ahead, which led to a further 8 injuries. All that was left of the 2 cars was a pile of burnt metal. On the same morning of the crash, Trevor said he was having a breakdown. He then slept for 4 hours before waking up and acting irrationally, according to his parents. A later autopsy, which was revealed in mid-October of the same year, provided some more details regarding Trevor's mental state. Firstly, the California Highway Patrol stated that they had seen video footage of the crash, which clearly showed that Trevor made no attempt to avoid the Hyundai. In a toxicology report, no alcohol or other common substances were noted to be present in his system. Interestingly, officials concluded that it was an accident. With no medical history, no history of substance use, and no history of depression or diagnosed mental illness, Trevor's crash was confusing to all who were following the story. He also didn't leave behind a note of any kind, which is standard practice if someone is about to deliberately end their life. The reports did note that 5 days before the crash, Trevor's behaviour had significantly changed according to his parents. He reportedly told them he was having a meltdown, with officials stating his erratic behaviour definitely suggested mania. This wasn't Trevor's only crash in the McLaren. 20 minutes before the interstate collision, a number of students at Ashley Falls Elementary School in Carmel Valley said that they saw the same car drive straight through a fence. Allegedly, the driver then got out and broke a window at the school. 2 people tried to stop him, but even when they were in the way, he continued to drive at the fence with no regard for their safety. Further evidence of mania was found when his parents stated to officials that Trevor had told them he'd driven through a 25 zone at 150 miles an hour in the wrong direction. When questioned by his parents, he told them neither the police nor the bullets could hurt him. On the day of the crash, his now highly concerned parents requested for a psychiatric evaluation of their son by contacting the police. Sadly, this request was ignored, with his parents being told they could not do so as he hadn't broken any laws. Worried about what Trevor might do next, his parents parked in his McLaren in an attempt to stop him from driving away. Trevor ultimately ignored this by ramming his father's car out of the way before speeding off. Trevor's father tried to find his son's whereabouts by calling the California Highway Patrol before learning of his son's fate. Ultimately, I think this crash acts as a strong reminder that anyone can snap. Taking something for granted only to have it whisked away is enough to make anyone's mental state worsen, especially if you're that young. The CSGO community was heartbroken upon the news breaking, with many of his friends in a tough situation where they wanted to write a tribute in his memory, whilst also acknowledging the irresponsible driving and recklessness he had begun showing a week earlier. Ultimately, McSkillet's end was clearly the result of declining mental health, which can most likely be put down to being so young and trying to process such a significant loss which he could do nothing about. Remember, there's more to life than money, and no matter how tough things may seem, it is just money at the end of the day. With loving parents and a good network of people who were willing to support him, it's sad to see how such a promising young talent's degrading mental health led to one of the most shocking car crashes in decades. If you're worried about a loved one's mental health, don't be afraid to check up on them. Sometimes all it takes is an honest conversation to put everything into perspective, but failing this, it's worth getting others involved.